Alright, what I want to talk about here is composite shapes. Now, a lot of people find composite shapes really tricky, but in actual fact they're quite simple. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to draw an example of a composite shape, just a simple one over here. So if I draw this figure over here, this is a good example of a composite shape. If you don't know what a composite shape is, it's pretty much just a two-dimensional shape that doesn't have a regular area formula that we can use to work out the area of the shape. So what we need to do when we're dealing with composite shapes is to break up our shape into two-dimensional regular shapes. So those shapes where we do have regular area formulas to work out the area. So if you look at this shape, the obvious thing that stands out to me would be if I take my pen and I cut the shape across that way. What started out looking like an irregular kind of house-like shape now has become two shapes. One is a triangle and one is a square. Now I know it's a square because it's got these lines over here that represent the lengths being identical around all sides. So now that I've done that, I've got two shapes where I do know the area formulas for those shapes. So I've got a triangle and I've got a square. Okay, so that's the first step. That's probably the hardest step. I think the hardest thing about composite shapes is trying to visualize what shapes make up that composite shape. I think that's probably the trickiest part of this. But once you've got those shapes and you know what the area formulas of those shapes are, it becomes really simple. But we do need to do one more thing, and that's putting in lengths for each of these sides. So I only need two lengths. I need this bottom length. I'm going to say that that's 3 centimeters, and I need the height of this triangle, so I need this over here, and I'm going to say that's 2 centimeters. Okay, so now I've got all of the information that I need to work out the areas of those two shapes. Next, I want to write down the area formulas. So the area formula for a triangle is base times height over 2. And the area formula for a square is length squared. So once I've got that, I can start substituting all of the dimensions that I have in and work out each of the individual areas of the shapes, and then I can add them both together once I've got the final areas of each one of those shapes. But before I do that, I'm going to write down what all of my variables are. So for my triangle, I have to work out what B is and what H is. The B is the base of the triangle. Now, the base of your triangle would be this line over here. Knowing that this shape, it consists of a square, that bottom shape is a square, which means this length has to be the same as that length. So it has to be 3 centimeters. So now I know what my base is. My base is 3 centimeters. My height is given, obviously. This is the height of my triangle. So my height is 2 centimeters. Okay, now I've got all of the information I need to work out my triangle. If I go down to my square only needs one variable, and that's its length. And the lengths of my square are all the same, all around my square. So all I need is L equals 3 centimeters, because I know that that's what that length is. So once I've got that information, I can start working things out. So let's work out the area of my triangle first. So if I substitute my value for B and H in, I get 3 times 2 over 2, and that gives me 3 times 2 is 6, 6 divided by 2, that's 3 centimeters squared. So the area of this triangle is 3 centimeters squared. Alright, let's use another colour and I'll work out the area of my square. So the area of my square, L being 3, is simply L squared, which is 3 squared, which is 9 centimeters squared. So this total area is 9 centimeters squared. now that I know the area of my square, I know the area of my triangle, it's as simple as adding up my total surface area. Oh, sorry, not total surface area, my total area of my composite shape. So the area total of this shape is going to be the area of my triangle plus the area of my square, which is going to be 3 centimeters squared plus 9 centimeters squared, and that's going to give me 12 centimeters squared. And that is pretty much all it is when you're adding up or working out the areas of composite shapes. Remembering it's as simple as trying to break up your composite shape into those regular shapes that you do have the area formulas for, working out each of the individual areas, and then at the end adding up all of those individual areas to get your complete area of your composite shape.